So, episode 3 of Miss Marvel just dropped today on Disney Plus, and I am going to be giving my spoiler review on episode 3. So, if you have not watched episode 3 yet, do not continue watching this video. If you enjoyed this video today, feel free to like and subscribe for future Marvel content. Again, spoiler warning for Miss Marvel episode 3 on Disney Plus. So the episode starts in British-occupied India in, I believe, 1942. And we start with the woman at the end of the previous episode, who is Kamran's mom, and she is with Kamala's great-grandmother, actually, and they find the bangle that Kamala uses for her powers in a cave. And now what's very interesting about this, there's two things that are actually really interesting, is that one, they take the bangle off of a Kree hand, supposedly. We assume that it's Kree because of the blue skin. So the fact that they're taking the bangle off of a Kree severed hand, implies that it's Kree technology that's doing this, which would be at least semi in line with the Inhuman origin, because the Terrigen Mist, Terrigen Bomb, Terrigen Crystals, it all has to do with the Kree in the comics. So it is possible that they are lining up for some type of Inhuman origin going on in this series. But another thing that is interesting as well is in this same scene when the cave is hit by like explosive fire and stuff from outside because the British came, it pans up above the group and it actually shows the symbol of the 10 rings on the floor. Now, what's really interesting about this is that they insinuated at the end of Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, I guess that movie's almost a year old, but spoiler warning if you haven't seen Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings yet. But the post-credit scene of that movie sent out a beacon into space, seemingly to whoever is responsible for creating the 10 rings. And it seems that there's some type of connection that they're drawing between the technology that is in Kamala's bangle, as well as the technology that's responsible for the 10 rings. So it's possible the 10 rings is Kree tech as well, but obviously that remains to be seen. So then the woman from the previous episode, I honestly forget her name, but she looks like she's just one of the mothers of this family. She reveals to Kamala that they are known as the clandestines. Now this, in my opinion, is a pretty deep cut. There are probably deeper cut things, but I know a lot of people might not be familiar with the clandestines, but they're literally like an old like family in Marvel Comics that dates back to like the 11 or 1200s. I don't know a lot about them, truth be told. I know like the father is like Adam, and he was made to be immortal, so that's why like they've been alive and around for so long. It's honestly weird, in my opinion, a weird choice for them to do, but it's cool when properties like that get put to use, if it might not be in mainline, but obviously that remains to be seen. But the clandestines claim to be from a different dimension known as Nor. And I don't think that dimension is a thing in Marvel Comics as well, so I'm not entirely sure where they're going with this, which is something that I like. I mean, obviously, nobody ever knows for sure where Marvel goes with their properties, like where they're going to take it, but it is nice to be kind of like a lot more in the dark than usual, and because obviously things can be assumed normally, but this, it's kind of really like I don't know really where they're really going with this. It's interesting. But they tell Kamala that they need the bangle to help them get back to their dimension and stuff like that, and they want Kamala's help to do so, obviously. And then we see the Department of Damage Control going around to different mosques looking for Nightlight, which is obviously Kamala's name that's basically she's being called now. And I don't think Damage Control is going to be the main bad guys of this series anymore. I feel like the clandestines will be. But Damage Control is still obviously not good guys, because this woman was just a dick. And then we have Kamala's dad translate Urdu text about the Jinn, which the mother of the clandestines said that they've been referred to as like Jinn in like mythology and stuff like that. And Kamala's father, when translating, does say that there's like a primordial power locked behind a sealed door and stuff related to the Jinn. And I honestly think this imagery is just really interesting because, again, it relates back to Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings at the very end, where, if you've seen Shang-Chi at the very end with the Dweller in Darkness, comes out of a sealed door and they have to fight it and stuff like that. Just the imagery that they're provoking is really interesting, and it almost is as if there's multiple different pocket dimensions across Earth that are kind of all like kept in the same way almost, that we might have seen in Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. So it's going to be interesting to see where they decide to go with that. And then before the wedding, we see that Bruno gave Kamala a mask that clearly looks like it's going to be a part of her final outfit. And then we get the whole wedding scene for Amir's wedding, and it was just, a fun little scene, which the clandestines crash because now they're looking for Kamala to force her to help them get back to their dimension. This obviously results in a fight, and Kamala obviously tries to fight them off as best as they can, but she ends up, running away, and Damage Control actually comes and arrests the clandestine, so it's going to be interesting to see where that goes. And then the episode ends with Kamala getting a call from her grandmother saying that she saw the same vision of the train that Kamala did while she was fighting the clandestines, and that her and her mother should come see her right now. So it is going to be interesting to learn more about her family history and see if they're going to go I think it implied that her great-grandmother was a member of the clandestines as well. Like, they were all a part. Oh, in fact, they didn't even imply it. They did. They were all part of the same group, so it looks like Kamala is technically a clandestine as well, so it's going to be curious as to how they play that and maybe how they play the Noir dimension, if we get a look at it by the end of this series. I'm not entirely sure about that. I definitely think each episode of this series is better than the last. I would say each episode hovers around the 7.5 to 8 to 8.59 range. In my opinion, obviously, because, I'm a big Marvel fan, so it would take a lot for me to find a Marvel property to be, bad. Even the ones that are contested to be some of the worst movies, which I don't know, would be your Iron Man 2s, Thor: The Dark Worlds, and then Incredible Hulks and stuff. Even then, I would give them maybe a 6.5 to 7. I still don't think they're bad movies. I just think, obviously, in comparison to the rest of the MCU, they are not as good and they don't live up. But I digress. Comment down below if you enjoyed Ms. Marvel Episode 3. I am really enjoying the series a lot more than I thought I did. And if you enjoyed this video today, feel free to like and subscribe for future Marvel content. I appreciate you for watching the video.